Okay. All right. That was great. Let's move on to question number three. This is now shifting gears a little bit more towards assessment and diagnosis. So the question is, what is the formal diagnostic process for selective mutism? And how do professionals differentiate selective mutism from other conditions like social anxiety disorder, speech disorders, or just developmental delays?
So we kind of touched on this in the last two questions, actually, really well. I would say that it's important to know the definition of selective mutism or the diagnostic criteria. The consistent failure to speak in certain social situations like school or social gatherings for at least 1 month. The ability to speak in other situations, such as at home with family, so they can speak in at least one setting consistently. This disturbance is not due to lack of knowledge or of comfort with the language. In other words, they know how to speak. Let's say English, they know English. That doesn't mean we don't have a percentage of bilingual, multilingual individuals that speak a different language or multiple languages at home. That definitely plays a role, and their comfort in the English language can certainly affect their confidence to have communication. And that is something we address in treatment for those families. The failure to speak is not better explained by another mental disorder, such as autism spectrum disorder, social anxiety, or communication disorder. First of all, that is very old fashioned because autism spectrum disorder is not a mental disorder, it's a neurodivergent disorder. But I would say that it can be also with that. This is where I disagree with DSM, because kids with SM, I think one of the problems this is either missed or kids go years unnecessarily suffering is because many clinicians, teachers, educators, parents don't see the connection between these other whys. I would say this is a tremendous aspect to my life's work, is figuring out what other reasons contribute to a child's selective mutism. So when we at the Smart Center do the selective mutism evaluation, and it can be for treatment with us or used for school, IEPs, 504s, or other professionals, because they get a full-blown report. It's a selective mutism evaluation where we assess for speech and language. We screen for it. We want to see the child's understanding of language, their expressive language skills. We screen for learning and processing difficulties by how we ask questions and the information we get from parents and from teachers. The SM school evaluation form is incredibly valuable. So we screen for developmental challenges, processing difficulties, sensory processing difficulties. Quite a large percentage of individuals with selective mutism are either highly sensitive, where loud, large, lots of people environments, in the easiest way of looking at it, shut them down, or they have sensory processing disorder, where it can cause them so much stress and anxiety. Tags, tactile, picky eaters, sounds, visual processing, it can all affect the child or teen's ability to function because it can overwhelm them. Think about a classroom with how much is going on in that classroom. So if you're too busy trying to process the world around you for a variety of reasons. So what is anxiety, Brandon? Anxiety for you, for me, for somebody else may be completely different. The key for selective mutism is to figure out what is causing them that anxiety. Yes, a large percentage have social anxiety. They may or may not have some of these other whys. So here's a question for you. If 92% of individuals with SM, they say 92% meet the diagnostic criteria for social anxiety, what is it about those other eight? They may not have social anxiety, but they're selectively mute, and those whys come into play. So then you may say, well, wait, if it's only 8%, that's not a high percentage. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Although 90 some percent meet the criteria for social anxiety, way more than 8% of kids with SM have other whys in addition to the social anxiety that may be the straw that broke the camel's back, that may be the factor that led to SM more than the social anxiety, and may be causing it to continue despite treatment. And if the treatment is focused on talking, and rewards for talking when these other whys are coming into play, then guess what? You're going to cause more anxiety, more avoidance, more shutdown, more confusion. And this poor child is going to just keep going the other way because they're misunderstood. This is why focusing on the whole person and not just the symptom is critical. I mean, Brandon, this is my life's work, and I swear by it, because we see so many kids every day, so many teens every day at the Smart Center where they've been in treatment for so long, but they just never overcame it, or they never made a lot of progress. And I believe when we see them, it seems so simple in so many ways. Those whys were missed, and the misunderstanding of where they were in their stages. They were focused so much on talking without realizing those kids, those teens weren't even engaging. They weren't even able to hand and take. They weren't even able to turn to a parent and tell an answer or appear in class. They were not able to do that. And so what happens is when the focus is on talking, go up and ask a question without preparing, without visual supports, without parent facilitation perhaps, without teacher awareness to how to accommodate and apply those interventions, you're causing more anxiety and avoidance. And so many kids suffer in silence for years unnecessarily. Because guess what? Courage isn't loud, which means just handing money to a store clerk, standing closer to a peer in school, be willing to have a get together, be willing to go to an aunt's house and with the parent or the sibling hand something over. So for those individuals, the smallest little step is courageous. So if we're focusing so much on talking when they're not ready, and for all the wonderful professionals out there in this world that have experience and understand this, this isn't an issue because they're addressing it. But I would say for all professionals listening, for all parents listening, for all educators listening, really meet those children where they are, understand who they are, understand the person, not just their speaking characteristics, because it may work for some, but for so many that approach does not work.